Open it to the public?
What I would suggest is if anybody in the public has any questions for Mr. Waldorf,
Okay.
that they be given an opportunity, and if not, the floor can be open for anybody who has any comments.
Okay. Are there any questions from the floor for Mr. Waldorf? No, I guess not. No? Do you? Can you come to the microphone, please? And give your name.
June Hilbert from South Congress Street. It just dawned on me that do we make I don't want to say recommendation, but for different size units so we can accommodate people that may not want huge units but can only afford smaller units? You know, if you have 16 units, would, 2 or 3 of them be smaller size so people of different economic means could afford to use them?
That's a very good question. This ordinance doesn't specify or prescribe sizes of units, but within the maximum number of units per building, that will allow for whatever range a developer sees as most feasible to build. So the ordinance, in fact, none of the ordinances dictate how many 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms per building. Within, basically working backwards, starting with an acre of ground, from that point on, and let's say if ideally 100% of that acre can be built upon. Depending on, not really depending on, but one of the parameters would be parking on that site. It's so many parking spaces per kind of dwelling unit that will be there, so that would be a determinant. The main determinant, however, would be the demand for housing. And there is a recent demand for smaller housing. I think you were alluding to that. So if a developer is looking to build a multifamily dwelling with smaller units, that's what the developer would propose. The building size, the overall building size, really can't change. Okay? What will change that, or what will dictate that, is how many dwelling units are being proposed, weigh that against parking and other site constraints.
Is it true that our current ordinance really doesn't encourage a variety of housing stock, and that by permitting and by enabling a mixed-use development, such as what this T&D ordinance would do, that it will be a vehicle that will encourage, as part of the site development, to offer different kinds of housing, as well as mixing it with residential and non-residential uses?
I guess the one way of looking at it, yes, the proposed ordinance will encourage that kind of development. The other side of it is the current ordinance, I don't want to say forbids it, but it does nothing to encourage it. In fact, it discourages it. And that's what we're looking for.
I'm just concerned that we're at the whim of the builder, or that we're going to construct this. We're at their whim, and we will not have a say as to accommodate some families who cannot afford one. But we want, I'm looking for diversity here, and I guess we have nothing in place to ensure that there is. That's my concern.
I'm not aware, honestly, if there's, and I share your concern, and we're heading toward, at least step by step, permitting and encouraging that kind of development. There are other forms of incentives, but the ordinance, it is up to the whim of the developer. It's up to the, I don't want to say the whim, but it's up to market forces as well. What we're doing here is opening up a new type of housing that doesn't occur now. The fact that we're permitting it is, I would say, encouragement.
Any other questions for Mr. Waldorf? Okay. If not, anyone wishes to be heard on this ordinance before we call for a vote? Okay, if not, any other comments by council? Okay, then I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion carries.